Difficulty Fire Swarm, the hardest content Star Rail has to offer, here's how I was able to beat it by using no skills or ultimates. You might be thinking what crazy team I'm using, but this team is just a one-man army of Clara. Let's dive into how this run was possible. Keep in mind the only things I'm allowed to do are basic attack and pressing R. First of all, you want to go Path of the Abundance. The game plan is what you expect, just go to as many domains as possible. You need this blessing to make the run possible. You also need your standard abundance blessings for sustain, tons of defense based blessings, and damage based blessings. Back to the run, I actually run into a weird occurrence domain, but since I have the destruction buff, I can one-shot them for the victory. I am able to get an essential elation blessing, which means I can actually do damage. I had a bit of a close call in his enhanced combat domain with Clara almost dying, but luckily I didn't have to ult in 4 for this. I do get a useful blessing, which will be very useful in the future. You'll get to the point where you pick your first resonance formation, and the first choice has to be the debuff removal. Being stun locked is your only lose condition. After I quickly buy an elation blessing from Scrulium, I move on to an adventure domain. Since Clara completely sucks at them, I use March to clear them. I don't know if not using her in fights still counts as solo run. I ran into the first plane boss. Unfortunately none of them give physical weakness, but the ape is a relatively easy fight. It doesn't have any sorts of stuns, it only really attacks, so it just turns into a pattern of attack, counter and repeat. It's a pretty boring fight, so while that's happening you can subscribe and write down in the comments any ideas for challenge runs. I also plan to release a Topaz Pools video on Sunday, and a first time playing Genshin video in the future. You guys can look forward to that. After the fight I am able to massively increase my damage through various blessings I get. Something that would scare me are the bosses entering Berserk mode, so damage is essential. Berserk mode apparently takes 20 cycles to trigger, so I need to collect a lot of elation blessings to ensure this wouldn't happen. I then ran into the biggest surprise of the run, which is everyone's most hated elite. To clarify, this guy is only a problem if you ever hit Sanction mode. If you have a full team it's fine, but as a solo run you can probably guess what's going to happen. This elite actually gave me tons of problems. Imprisonment stuns Clara, which means she can't get any healing from follow-up attacks. Since all of my debuff removals are chance based, I basically have to hope I don't get bad luck. In this run, I simply take too much damage, and I don't have my R button, so Clara ends up dying, and I am forced to ult F4. Multiple times to be honest. Boo! I switched relics to give myself a bit more tankiness. I think I calculated it to be 15% tanky with the defense and set bonus. Not entirely sure how the mathematics works. I do sacrifice a bit of damage by doing this, but the trade-off is worth it. This fight is basically luck based. I have a 36% effect res at full health and then a 35% chance to remove my own debuff through Clara Trace. Then if all of that failed, I would use the abundance heal to cure myself. I would have to reset if everything went wrong. The enemies the elite spawn do give me a bit more damage and more chances to heal, so they actually help me eventually win this fight. While this is happening, what are you guys' thoughts on the Clara Topaz combo when Topaz gets released? Personally I think it would be a fun comp to run, maybe not better than Jingloer though. I also think Topaz has more potential as a kit buffs other allies. We can talk more about team comp theories on my Twitch streams. I also plan on playing Genshin Impact and Souls-like games on Twitch too, so if you're interested you should follow the channel. Going back into the run, I am able to get one of the best cures in the game, and get my second resonance formation, which I go for the automatic heals, which gives me more chances to cure my debuffs, which seems to be the main issue of this run. After the adventure domain, I get my third resonance formation, which gives me a free revive every fight. This will buy some time if needed. At the end of the second plane, I run into Kafka, who I can easily take on. The buff gained from killing her would also be extremely useful compared to the Deers. Going into the fight, lots of strange things were happening. Like here I get dominated, but I removed the debuff, but I'm still stunned. Can someone explain what's going on here, like I couldn't figure it out? Another strange thing that was happening is that bosses naturally gain more damage buffs, but Kafka wasn't, so this was strange too. If I had to guess, there was some sort of condition for bosses to gain the buffs. Kafka not gaining the buffs meant I wasn't really in any sort of danger besides weird bugs happening. After the first phase, the fight becomes super easy since I can cure the domination effect she applies onto me since it takes 2 turns for it to take place. After the Kafka fight, I decided to take a risk to roll for a Destruction 3-star blessing, and it pays off. This blessing is a must need for any solo run. I also get a must need 2-star blessing which helps Clara's tankiness and get a chance to enhance 2 blessings at the end, which will prove useful later. I then enter the final fight against the Swarm. I do lots of damage at the start due to the abundance dice roll, but this fight is basically a time limit. I need to kill the Swarm as soon as possible, otherwise the damage buffs built by the Swarm would eventually one-shot me. Luckily the Swarm exploding post-death gave me a lot of the damage I needed. The only thing I had to worry about was the Swarm's charge attack or ultimate. I could remove wind shear through various ways and out-heal everything else. After the first swarm ultimate, I see time is running out. Although I have 2500 health, each ultimate is going to do more and more damage. I do have a revive through an abundance effect, but this would not buy me much time. By the time I get to the third phase, he closed another True Sting, which means I had to worry about 2 swarm ultimates. The damage was starting to ramp up, and as you can see, it's starting to get close. If I do survive, I can heal all of my damage by simply countering. One thing to mention is that the outrage effect at this point isn't really an issue, and I can simply remove it by pressing R. As we start approaching the final parts of the fight, the swarm charges its last 2 ultimates. Whether I survived the one shot or not, I wasn't sure at all. I managed to tank the first ultimate with a sliver of health, but there was still a second ultimate. By some miracle, I managed to barely survive 2 max damage ultimates, since I wasn't able to get rid of any of the smaller swarm bugs. After the 2 swarm ultimates, I cleaned the rest of the fight up and cleared the run. If you enjoyed the video, you can like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to catch me do more of these challenges, you can follow my Twitch channel. You can also check out my previous challenge runs at the top left. Thanks for watching.